Now, in the rest of the world, yeah, you're seeing lines all over the place. I mean, how is it that other than possibly the government telling them don't sell any silver, we want to portray a shortage, but I don't think that's the case. I think there's a real shortage. Actually, I know there's a real shortage. I mean, just look at what's going on in London. They're scrambling to be able to make deliveries. And it's just so important that people understand that if silver fails to deliver within 72 hours, you're not going to see markets open. Markets across the globe will not be able to open, in my opinion, within 72 hours. I think that's not really the right way to look at it. It shouldn't be concerning if you're sitting on silver and markets close. I can't think of another asset that I want to have in my hands other than a loaded gun and food. I cannot think of any monetary asset that I would want in my hands other than silver if markets close. And I'm not dissing gold. Gold is for, that's your store of wealth, but you're not going to trade in gold. I mean, you're going to have a hard time with silver eagles or 1 ounce bars or 1 ounce rounds, silver rounds. You're going to have a problem getting change back. I mean, if you deal with a farmer and let's say you want 2 dozen eggs, how are you can't get change back, but a silver dime will do it. Because I've got a bunch of emails in the last 3 or 4 days. The wholesalers have really pulled their bids back on junk silver. Junk silver now, if you're going to sell it, you're looking at $2.50 or $3 below spot. The only silver above spot in North America are silver eagles. I think they're about like $1 over spot. But people are concerned that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to sell my silver. Well, understand that when all this silver that's been sold, all this junk silver, that's been melted down. And of course, they've not made any silver dimes or quarters since 1964. So there is no more supply, and the supply that has existed, any of that that's being sold, if you're selling it at $2 or $3 under spot, I guarantee you your wholesaler is sending that to a refinery and just picking up the 3, 4, 5% VIG and putting that in their pocket. And also, there are refiners now saying they're not accepting any more silver because they've been inundated, and it's a physical process. It's not like pressing a computer key and boom, it's done. They actually have to refine it out. They've got to refine the 10% copper out if they want to get it to 99.99 pure.
Yeah.
So while right now it feels a little bit, maybe did I make a mistake buying junk silver? No. If you wait a month, 2 months, 3 months, and this is assuming the system continues and does not collapse, in the future, in my opinion, junk silver is going to end up holding the highest premium of any form of silver in North America because the supply is being wiped out whenever anybody sells it. It's being destroyed. It's being melted down. Well, first off, that will bleed over to gold, and gold will also fail to deliver. Understand that gold and silver have been suppressed. The prices have been suppressed literally for 50 years, since 1976 when they started with futures and options on metals. Understand that gold has been suppressed because it is the direct competitor to fiat currencies, whether it's the dollar, the pound, the euro, the yen, whatever fiat currency, gold is the direct competitor. Now, if let's say 10 years ago, gold didn't stop, or 15 years ago, gold didn't stop at the $1,900, $2,000 level, and it blew through, and it got to 4,000 like we are now, and then it moved to 6, 7, 8,000, and started spiking. What that tells you is it's not gold going up; it's the fiat currency that's losing value. So that spills out, and it becomes a loss of confidence, and that would have and will prevent the U.S. from using a credit card with. It would prevent or preclude the U.S. Treasury and other treasuries that borrow, but the U.S. in particular that has had an unlimited amount to borrow on the credit card, and thus we've got $37, $38 trillion. it would cause interest rates to go up. It would just gum up the entire system, which would then gum up the real economy. But it would be extremely difficult for finance to continue as finance has continued, because it's been a Ponzi scheme, a Ponzi scheme of credit, and it would cast a dark shadow on credit, meaning, am I going to get paid back? People will be wondering about the credit system, and that's a problem. And you and I have talked about this before. Everything runs on credit. The entire financial system runs on credit. The real economy, everything that you touch, everything that you do every day has, credit has touched it in one way or another for that to have been created or be able to work. So it's important to understand that silver being such a small market, it's been very easy to manipulate. And they had to manipulate silver harder than gold, because if silver ever got on hand, then gold goes. And if gold goes, then you have confidence breaking. And understand it, you were talking about derivatives. It's a zero-sum game in the OTC derivatives market, where there's over $2 quadrillion worth of paper or contracts. The problem with that, because it's a zero-sum game, if you have a huge winner, that also means there's a huge loser. And was that loss big enough to put the loser out of business? And if the answer is yes, then the loser can't pay the winner, which means the winner then becomes a loser also.
Right.
And that will spread across markets everywhere. That'll spread across credit markets. It'll spread across stock markets, equity markets. Interest rates will explode. That'll destroy the ability to carry real estate on debt. It's a seizure or a meltdown of credit is what we're facing.
Holter points out that central banks, including the ECB, Bank of Japan, and the Federal Reserve, are already facing deep losses on their bond holdings, leaving them with negative equity and limited capacity to stabilize markets. In his view, another liquidity crisis on the scale of 2008 might not be survivable under current conditions, making physical precious metals one of the last remaining assets capable of preserving value when confidence in the global financial system begins to fracture.
Yeah, if markets stayed open, of course, the markets will level out. What will happen is they'll find a medium, and if China doesn't bend, and this is something my late partner Jim Sinclair used to talk about. He said he could foresee the day where China would say, okay, gold's $50,000 an ounce. It's bid at 50,000. It's offered at 50,000. What do you want to do? So if they peg the price or set the price at $50,000 or in yuan or whatever, but equivalent of $50,000, then what is the price worldwide? It's got to be $50,000 because that's the market. I mean, money is going to flow where it's treated best. And if the West is at $4,000 gold or $5,000 gold, and China's buying it and selling it in whatever quantities you want at $50,000, that then becomes the price. The problem with that is if you jacked up gold prices 12-fold from here, or it wouldn't even have to go 12-fold, it could go less than 100% from here to break. That would break the contracts. That would break the market itself, because like I said, for every winner, there's a loser. And can somebody lose 12 times their money and stay solvent? No, they can't pay the winner. Then the winner's a loser. And then the people who are doing business with either the winner or the loser knows they're both dead. You're going to do business with them? You're going to trade with them? No. And that's I mean, I'm not looking at this and saying, I think this is what could happen. This already happened back in 2008, 2009 with the Lehman Brothers problem. And it took, and think about this, it took only $700 billion in TARP and another, 16, 17 trillion that we found out 2 years after the fact that the Fed sprayed all over the world, more than half of that to foreign central banks to keep the system floating. And think about how crazy people went over the $700 billion. I mean, people were wringing their hands for 3 or 4 days because $700 billion is a crazy number. Well, $700 billion is like a broken potato chip that falls out of your pocket now. Who's the white knight going to be? I mean, 16, 17 trillion is not going to fix the problem. Who's going to step up and save the ECB? Who's going to step up and save